Welcome back to the Whole CXO. Today is I'd say a special edition because Dr. Crawford is not only a CEO of her own business, she's also a provider of women's hormone health. In fact, they call her the hormone boss, and we're going to hear why. She's the creator of the hormone revival method and an authority on the pre-hormone system. There are so many things that she's done, created some systems to be able to help women remotely, which is amazing because it's really discouraging when you find out that the person you really want is halfway across the country. So excited to hear about your whole journey and what led you into this work, Dr. Crawford. So take the floor and give us a little bit about your inspiration for the work that you're doing today and your medical journey.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me on here. I'm excited to have this conversation. So I really started, my journey started as a young girl. I grew up in a kind of a poor family, and my mom was sick all the time. And I just had this dream that I wanted to save my family. And so I had a lot of drive and motivation and somehow enough grit to get through 15 years of education and finally and I didn't go the conventional route. I actually knew when I was a teenager that I wanted to do something in natural medicine. So my initial dream was actually that I wanted to go to a naturopathic doctor. And then eventually I realized that there was a naturopathic school in Seattle where I grew up. And so then the light bulb went off, and I mean, just everything lit up inside of me. And I wanted to, because it felt like real solutions, because I was always the kind of person that would always ask, but why?
Right.
Why is that happening? Right.
Good.
So I found Bastyr University, which is there in the Washington area,
Mhm.
and ended up going there. And 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 so yeah, so fast forward, I had a very busy wellness center in the Seattle area. After I think about 15 years, it's called Nature Cure Wellness Center, and I had a team of like 11 people and everything. We ended up closing March 13th of 2020. And I ended up going 100% virtual. And so I took my business to a different level where now I have a lot more reach, and I've created a virtual clinic and I can help
Nice.
women nationwide. And yeah, using my signature kind of approach, the hormone revival method, like you said.
That's super. Well, and when you have something like that, you really need to widen the field because so many people need to have that available to them. And what we talked about a little bit earlier off camera that I want to bring up in terms of the inspiration for the hormone revival method. A lot of us have been to doctors who will help us out with HR therapy, put us on estrogen. There's so many different patches and pellets and every
Yeah.
method, and I wonder how many times do I need to try a new thing for 6 months before I figure out what's going to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And I would love to know how your method helps people to find the right solution so we don't waste a lot of time and money.
Yes. Yes, I'm excited to talk about that because what's really missing in most approaches is a lack of precision and a lack of looking at things from the perspective that every body is different. So, most women are kind of given maybe labs and a protocol.
Yeah.
And that's why, this try this, wait and see, have the side effects and all of that. It does tend to, send you down the wrong path. My approach is, like you said, you mentioned the pre-hormone system. That's the one of the core things that I work on is that women who are reaching perimenopause and menopause, they actually come to that stage of their lives with pre-existing hormonal deficiencies and imbalances. And
Yeah.
that's what's being missed. So the pre-hormone system is how are you actually producing your own hormones? And it's
No.
not just because of menopause. You might be out, most women I test, their hormones are actually out of the normal range, even for menopause.
At what age
So,
can you start to detect that?
I mean, some women 30s and 40s.
Okay. Okay. And
Yep.
that has to do with a number of other factors that are not necessarily menopause related.
Exactly. So the pre-hormone system is all wrapped up in your stress response system.
Ah,
Yeah.
wow.
So there's some specific hormonal kind of production pathways that are affected when we experience stress. And it doesn't have to be like a single, traumatic event. It just can be that chronic low-grade stress that most of us have because we're out there, we're in high, demanding roles, we're running our businesses, we're in traffic, we're living in this world. Like there's just so many things
Hmm.
that can really affect that. So that's the core of it. But also looking at appropriate testing. And most doctors are doing outdated blood testing. So if you test the
Oh,
right things in the right way, you actually identify that how your pre-hormone system is functioning so that you can get your body making its own hormones again. Then, as you go through menopause, you're not going to experience the symptoms to the severity at which you would have if your hormones are already at the optimum level for your age. But then if you do want to have an increased level of hormones, like similar to, like I'm 55, so maybe I want to have the hormone levels I had in my 30s or 40s. And so you can top them off in an elegant way, not just the same protocol that every woman gets, because every woman has different levels of hormones, different
yeah.
progesterone to estrogen ratio, and all of that. And so if you look at it and you make a plan that's targeted to your exact symptoms, your lifestyle, your hormone levels, and all of that, that's where you're going to have the best outcomes.
That's really interesting. It makes sense, but I guess you have a whole diagnostic system so that you can laser target how you prescribe this. At what age
Exactly.
would you encourage somebody to first meet with you? If they want to get ahead of it, make sure that they're high functioning throughout their midlife.
I mean, honestly, a lot of women start experiencing symptoms related to hormonal imbalance after puberty.
Hmm.
And it can be migraines or PMS,
Oh,
PCOS, all of
so
these
those
things.
can have a hormone basis, and they're
Yes,
going for anti-anxiety medication or antidepressants, or they might be,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
it might be hormonal.
exactly. Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
So I'm gonna need all my daughters to call you. Um, it's so hard to be in a world where we have so many options, and even as a mom, it's hard to know how to direct my kids. Every time I sit down with a group of women, somebody's daughter has an issue that they don't know how to solve. Um, let's pretend that we don't know that we should call you first.
Mhm.
How do you think the average person who is trying to solve this, what feels like a, fatigue or something that might point to some of the hormone indicators, where should she start to look for a solution in her realm, in her community?
That's a great question because every area is different and has different resources available. The first place I would probably look, given the state of like the conventional insurance-based model is lacking when, for lack of a better word, it's lacking in appropriate women's health care.
Yeah.
And we are in the middle of a big shift with that, but we're in the middle of it, okay? And it's not, so it's going to take some time before it really gets better. Right now, the only options that are offered typically are birth control pills or antidepressants,
Yeah.
and that's it. So, if you want your hormone health evaluated from a holistic perspective, from someone who's going to dig a little deeper and do appropriate testing and help you with the different aspects of how do you actually balance hormones, I would recommend naturopathic doctors,
Hmm.
licensed naturopathic physicians. We're
Hmm.
licensed in, I think, around 25 states. So it should be easy for a lot of women to find that type of care because they're going to listen and they're going to address it from a root cause perspective.
I love that you mentioned that because I did go to a naturopath first, and I love her. Um, I get this question when I try to recommend to my friends or even to my daughters that they contact my naturopath. Here's what I hear, and I'm sure you've heard this before. Is she a real doctor? Help
Yeah.
us to debunk this myth about what a real doctor is.
Yes, that's a great question. Now, the biggest problem is that there are naturopaths out there that are not, they did not go to medical school. Okay,
Okay.
so there is a confusion in, in the population and how do you differentiate that, right? So
Yeah.
that's why I said a licensed naturopathic physician.
Yeah.
And so that is the terminology that most traditional naturopaths are the ones who did not go to medical school, which there's nothing wrong with that profession. It's just confusing, and this is why we're working on getting licensure in all the states so that
Regulation.
so that the consumer can actually differentiate between the two, because I think that that's fair.
Yeah.
So we have the exact same education and training that MDs receive, which is we actually have more. We have 43 to 4,800 100 hours of training in medical school. I went to 5 years of medical school after as a postgraduate degree, so I have a doctorate, and and then you can do residencies and everything. So there's yes, we are real doctors, but there are some people who it just that's not they're not in alignment with natural approaches. And so if they don't understand it, then maybe it's not for them. Maybe they want the medications and they want, those things, but we approach it very differently. We look at root cause and we do further testing and don't just say everything's normal when
Yeah.
you know that it's not.
Well, that root cause is so important. I had a doctor once who, when I was experiencing stress symptoms like a rash all over my face, and um, she kept prescribing one cream after another. And I said, you know what? I don't think this is a dermatologic issue. I think it's systemic.
Yeah,
What do you think we should do? And she's like,
right.
let's try this cream. And I
Yeah,
just, this is what led me to the naturopath. Um, so this is where we hit walls. And, I love that you said that there's a revolution in women's health. I'm kind of revolutionary in nature, so it makes me excited to think that we have another big war to fight. But how are we going to fight this revolution in workplace wellness and employee group plans? Do you see the products that you provide, the services you provide being offered in group benefits?
absolutely. I mean, listen, the workplace is where to capture the attention because what they're trying to do is they're trying to save money, right? And the way you save money is actually to make people better, make them healthier.
Yeah,
And if you're healthier and you don't need the medication, that's actually a huge savings. The bottom line. So money talks.
yeah,
Yeah, and to be honest, most people are already using complementary and alternative medicine approaches. They're already taking supplements. They're already seeing acupuncturists or chiropractors or nutritionists and all. That's all natural medicine is
yeah,
it's first line therapy. How do I get healthier? Not just match a symptom to a pill, right? It's
right.
actually about addressing the root cause and reversing the chronic disease pathology that's happening.
It's interesting that you say that because I was talking to a functional practitioner and I told him that I'm building a database of alternative health providers. And he said, hold on right there. In my thinking, I'm the first line. Your surgeons and your prescriptions, that's your alternate health option.
Yes, exactly.
We
That's how
need
it
to be
should be.
thinking proactively and we need to think preventively. So this is why I love what you're talking about. Wow,
Exactly.
that's amazing. So let's we want to satisfy both sides of the audience. Most of the people who watch are women, There are a few other health practitioners who watch this and gain information about new and different things for their purposes. But a lot of the female CEOs who watch this series are wondering, okay, number one, you went from a in-person practice to virtual. So that meant a big change in terms of your systems and your employees. How did that transition happen?
Well, luckily, I had my foot in the door already of kind of a hybrid practice because all of my care was provided in programs.
Okay.
And the reason is, I started my career taking insurance and doing one visit here, one visit there, and ordering labs and do coding and all of that. Um, until one day the insurance company gave me a letter that said, we're not going to cover this. So you get zero reimbursement. The patient responsibility is zero. And I just decided I couldn't work for free. And so
Wow.
I discontinued taking insurance. And then I created programs instead so that it could be economical for them, but also so that the results, the outcome would be as good as possible, because that's what
Yeah.
they really want, right?
Yeah.
It's what we all want. And so once I started doing programs where I provided everything that I knew they would need to get the results actually skyrocketed way, way far and beyond what I could do with just single visits here, try this, try that, and see how it goes. And
Yeah.
then let's, come back in 3 months.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
yeah.
So,
So I was already doing that and part way. So I had all my programs. It was just a matter of shutting down my brick and mortar practice and then um, taking my essential team virtual. And now I have, people on my team who are all over the world. So
nice.
it's very nice. Luckily, we have the amazing technology to do that now, right? That's one of the perks for sure. We have a lot of Zoom meetings.
Yeah, well, and this is the beautiful thing about technology, and your husband is in technology, so you kind of have your number one advisor there. So how many team members are running this show?
It's a lean team. I think there's 5 of us.
Nice. That is
Yeah.
good. That is good.
Plans to
Because
grow though.
yeah, absolutely. Well, there's always something new to learn. And it's interesting to a lot of practitioners. And during COVID, I know that a lot of people who were coaching in person move their practice online. And I don't know why I didn't think about that, but I think there's a reason why I took the job that I did because it opened up my world in a different way. But that launch to go completely online is it's a different thing. You have different technology tools to acknowledge and hopefully not have to test and replace because it's there's a lot of work that goes into the
Yeah,
platform
and
you use.
it was a lot of, if I look back over the years, I've always been an early adopter when it comes to technology. So I am quite tech savvy and of course have, help from the tech skills of my husband. But if I look back over time, like it had, everything builds on itself and compounds. And then one day you kind of look at it and you're like, whoa. I mean, there's so many layers. I actually do business coaching for naturopathic doctors.
Oh, fantastic.
Um, yeah, and when I think about teaching the things that I've learned, it's like then I get this perspective of like, wow, I've really built so much and learned so much, and
Yeah.
it's the complexity of it all, I'm kind of like, good job. Because I didn't become a doctor to become a tech expert or, even do as much like marketing or, sales or all the different aspects to running a business and being an entrepreneur. I had
Yeah.
no way of knowing that this, that it would go this deep into that. And now, and 20 years in, being an entrepreneur and a doctor, I have a lot of knowledge that I can now share with my community.
That's fantastic. I love to hear that. I know who to send somebody to because, as you know, I'm the connector. And um, why reinvent when you know somebody who already has a recipe? I
Yeah.
think it's brilliant. I'm curious to know, 'cause I just came from a conference where most of the conversation was about the use of AI, governance of AI,
Mm.
um, had all of the different governing rules about making sure that it's interprets, doesn't hallucinate, does what you say. So are you integrating AI in your practice at all?
Absolutely. Yes. I went to a boot camp about 3 months ago that was a really great intensive and learned how to build AI employees. So I'm actually using agentic AI. Um, and it's
Okay.
incredible because as a business owner, that's I think the best use case where you're able to leverage and amplify the humans that you have on your team
Right.
and create them as AI architects.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
it's not about eliminating people.
no.
It's about leveraging them.
Right. And multiplying the benefit there. Um, because you can put your humans on things that only humans can do, having conversations with people and some of the strategy that AI might inform, but always needs to be double checked.
Yeah,
So you went to a boot camp to create those agents. That's pretty phenomenal. Which AI are you using?
I'm using Claude.
Claude. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I hear that in most cases.
I started with ChatGPT actually, but the boot camp she was teaching based on Claude, and now I have over 24 AI employees. It grows almost every day.
Oh wow. Can you think
Yeah.
of one more thing? I'm curious to know if you're using AI to um, I'm trying to think to maybe help your team or to help your customers search your knowledge base. Do you have any
So
kind of query system set up for health questions?
a little bit of one, mostly the other. I created a couple things for my knowledge base. I'm not getting in too much with like the health side of things. That's still my brain,
Mhm.
and direct client care. It's me. Um, so most of the AI I'm using is for, marketing and operations. Okay, so
Mhm.
we're using it for our SOPs. We're using it for assisting each of my team members so that they have an AI assistant to help them think through problems strategically. I've created a bunch of tools that are like widgets or artifacts that are like end of day reports that get sent directly into our Google chat for, our
Mhm.
business suite. I mean, just all kinds of things like that. So, but I did create a couple of things. One is to help my team in one of our coaching spaces, which is just our community. I uploaded a digital copy of my book, which is called
Nice.
Everything's Not Normal, The Empowered Women's Guide to Getting the Healthcare You Deserve. It's the book that I wrote, and I uploaded that, and as well as I have another doctor who works with me, who is the director of Mind Body, and
Okay.
she is an expert in like the mind body medicine kind of approaches that are part of my program. And so that part of the program we uploaded so that my team can actually use that to get to like answer questions and things if as they need. But that's as far as I've taken that. Everything else is all operations and
Yeah, that makes
things.
sense. Well,
Yeah,
I'm wondering about the accuracy because I would never want to ask the open AI market a question about women's health. You're going to get outdated information.
yeah.
But if I'm putting your name as a source material and loading your papers and loading your website and your YouTube, I'm
Mhm.
wondering how accurate it could be in helping me find out what Dr. Crawford would say about this question. It's kind of like the what would Jesus do, but in the health
Yeah.
application.
Yes. I do have ideas about doing that in the future. The cool thing is that with Claude, you can avoid the inaccuracies for the most part
Oh, okay.
because the way you set up agents is that you create a project. I don't want to get too
Mhm.
into the
Yeah,
AI
I
thing,
have
but I
7
mean,
of them.
it's
Yeah,
been mind blowing for me, and it's been a huge, you know, it's been it's a huge step forward, leap forward for my business. But so you create a project in Claude, which is the office it works in,
yeah,
right? The office your employer works in. It's got all the context. So you upload
yeah.
all your brain, whatever you have there. So the Dr. Iris brain, we could create and everything there. And then you create a skill, which you train the skill. The skill is the employee.
Okay,
And what you're doing is you're massively exponentially improving and refining the output simply by doing that alone, where you don't even need to worry about the prompt. So
okay.
you can just say, make this. And
Because
if
you've
you're
fine-tuned the
in that
instructions in the
project, you're
project.
in that project using the skill is trained on how to do it, and then the project is the office it works in, so it has all the context it needs. So it's not using the internet. It's not
Yeah.
trying and I've never had any problems with the hallucination.
Okay. That's fantastic. That was something that came up a lot in this conference, so this is really good to know. Well, I know we could talk forever, and
I know.
I am so excited to see how you've built this business because you're able to serve so many more women. How are you, Dr. Crawford, taking care of yourself? How are you making sure
Mm.
that you are completely available mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually to do the work that you do?
Oh, such a good question. It's a work in progress. And I always say that I'm my ideal client. Because I do prioritize my business and I prioritize, oh, I got to get this done and I got to, I'm very driven and ambitious. And I want to be there for my clients and I want to be there for my team and for my husband and my cats. Um,
It's
so
important. Yeah.
it's really about just stopping and paying attention and then course correcting.
Yeah.
And so the more small course corrections that you can do, you're like, oh yeah, I haven't taken my vitamin D in a few weeks. Maybe I better get
Go
back on
back to
track
that.
with that. So it's just
Mhm.
about like getting back on track. Kind of, it's just a constant balance that you want to see. And I'm not perfect. No one's perfect, right? So I do know what to do. Do I do them all? No, but I will say the foundations, especially with diet, I eat very healthy.
Okay, last question. What is healthy eating?
That's a great question. So, because everyone actually says, "Oh, I eat really healthy," and then you find out some things. So it's different for everyone, right? So, if for example, my approach for me, and it's different for everyone. I mean, there's not one single healthy diet for everyone. So, but what I do is just a very plant forward way of eating. So I eat mostly fruits and vegetables. And so if you look at my plate, it's going to be three-quarters full of vegetables, and then some protein. So it'd be poultry, seafood, fish, those types of things. I don't eat a lot of meat, like, pork or beef or anything. Um, Not that there's something wrong with it, it's just my philosophy.
Hmm.
So I think the key though is I eat mostly organic and I eat mostly plants.
Hmm.
So getting all that fiber, all those phytonutrients, those are all the to keep cellular health and all of that. That's kind of what I really love. And I really love cooking as well. So cooking is what is very helpful to eat healthy, I think, because a lot of people who don't eat a lot of vegetables, typically it's because they don't know how to prepare them to make them
Hey,
delicious.
mushy broccoli. And you can
Yeah.
hide healthy things in a spaghetti sauce, right?
Yes, yes. I just made a lasagna. that was it was the best lasagna I've ever made, and there was no actual lasagna noodles in it. I made zucchini sheets into lasagna noodles, and I put the marinara sauce in my blender with red lentils, blended that up, and poured that as the sauce. So,
Amazing.
and of course, there's ricotta and mozzarella and mushrooms and all that. So it was incredible. Very healthy and fulfilling and delicious.
I'm
Yeah.
inspired. I'm gonna make marinara sauce. Well, we could go on forever, but tell me, for someone who's listening to this, who is not only learning how a really great CEO has grown her business, but wants to know how to manage her own health, what's the first thing, one easy thing that she should do?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece like of information that is so important for any woman to go down the right pathway to getting help is the testing. So most doctors are doing outdated blood tests, and what I do is salivary testing, which is you want to test the right things in the right way. That's the
Mhm.
biggest piece here. You can do saliva or urine testing for hormones. I do salivary, but the key here is when you do a saliva or urinary hormone test, you're seeing what's bioavailable in the body.
Yeah,
Whereas blood testing, it just shows what's bound in blood, and it only shows a snapshot of where your hormones were at that moment because that's what's circulating in your bloodstream. But salivary testing, urinary testing, it's testing the whole amount in your whole body, and that's what's important. And it'll actually detect deficiencies or imbalances much earlier than blood testing would. But also, it's not only just testing in the right way, but you're able in saliva, you're able to see all the things that I need to see to look at your pre-hormone system, how your hormones are being produced, because I'm not just testing the hormones. I'm testing your adrenal stress response function, the hormones of your circadian rhythm,
yeah,
all of the things that are part of that pre-hormone system, so that I know, where, how you're producing your own hormones, and that's
yeah.
what's missed in other ways. So that would be a huge step forward for any woman to take
Yeah,
control of her health.
that's just brilliant because I was thinking, what blood test should I be asking my doctor to do? And you're like, no, not. And if your doctor's not doing adrenal testing, you probably don't want her to interpret, I mean, not adrenal, but saliva testing. You don't want her to interpret a saliva test if it's not something that they do on a regular basis.
That's true. Yeah, because you have to know what to do with the results.
Yeah. Well, it's brilliant. I think we have some forward progress. There's a lot we need to do to revolutionize women's health.
Yeah.
But I thank you for contributing your career to making us all better. And I will definitely have to talk to you again.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
Me too.